the Jezreel Valley might accurately be described as the heartland of the Holy Land, a vast fertile plain set within a largely inhospitable land. It is here that the change of seasons is felt keenly: the dry summer, the wet winter, and the verdant springtime, with its riot of colors and fragrances. My family and I hiked this valley in July. As we felt the hot sun blazing, we pondered the fact that in this notoriously hot land, and indeed across the world, this was one of the hottest summers ever recorded. And it was in this same valley, under this same sun, that one morning nearly 2,000 years ago, a woman looked out her window. Her name is Shunammite, because she is from Shunem, a small village in the valley. And she is, as the second book of Kings tells us, both wealthy and wise. On this particular morning, Shunammite looks up from stirring a pot in her kitchen and gazes toward the street. She sees a man approaching. She steps outside to greet him. They speak for a moment, and she urges the man to come in for a meal. Once he's eaten, he leaves. Sure enough, a few weeks later, he returns. And once again, Shunammite offers him a meal in her home. Every time the man passes through Shunem, he stops at the home of this great woman, and she prepares him food. After this has been going on for some time, one evening, Shunammite speaks to her husband and says, I think this is a holy man of God who keeps passing through our town. Perhaps we should make him more hospitable. Let's make our home a place that he'll want to stay longer each time he comes. Here's what we'll do, she tells him. Let's build a special room upstairs and furnish it with everything he might need for a restful night. A bed, a lamp, a nice table, a matching chair. And that's exactly what they do. The next time the man passes through, he once again stops at Shunammite's house, only this time he stays the night. The next morning, he wonders out loud to his servant what he might do to return the favor. The servant notes that Shunammite is married but has no children. Hearing this, the man, who turns out to be none other than the prophet Elisha, calls Shunammite to his upstairs room. And here is what Elisha says. Lamoed hazeh ka'ed chaya choveket ben. Lamoed hazeh, at this same time next year. Ka'ed chaya, at this season of life, your child will be born. And you know what? That's just what happens. The text of the book of Kings continues. The woman conceived and bore a son at the same season the following year, as Elisha had assured her. That a childless woman would bear a child is nothing new in the Hebrew Bible, no matter how miraculous. No, what strikes me about this story is the language of the prophet's prediction. Ka'et chaya, at this season of life. This same phrase, ka'et chaya, appears only one other time in the Hebrew Bible, and that is in the book of Genesis. An angel tells Sarah, after she has welcomed him to her tent and given him food and drink, that he will return, ka'et chaya, at this same time next year, at this season of life, and she will have a son. That son, of course, is Isaac, whose story we read just moments ago. Ka'et chaya, the season of life. What season is it? Spring, of course. The time when nature itself returns to life, the season of growth and revival after the death and decay of winter. The stories of Sarah and Shunammite show how hospitality and generosity and giving of themselves leads to birth, growth, and life. On Rosh Hashanah, we celebrate the very birth of the world, the creation of plants and trees, waters and fish, birds that fly, mountains and canyons, and creatures both large and small. At this time of falling leaves, as we prepare for the fallow winter, we also remember that the Eit Chaya, the season of life, will soon return, that the rhythms of nature will once again restore the land to its bounty. And yet, how certain are we of the cycle of the seasons now? In the last 2 months, we've seen the hottest global temperatures ever recorded. These are probably the warmest temperatures in at least 100,000 years. This past year in particular has shown us just how damaging the effects of climate change can be. In March, California's atmospheric river brought a bomb cyclone that left 2 people dead and more than 100,000 without power. The next month, a deadly storm system tore through the Midwest, South, and Mid-Atlantic, bringing with it tornadoes that left at least 32 dead and many more without power. By April 7th, almost as many people had been killed by tornadoes in the first 3 months of 2023 as are usually killed by tornadoes in an entire year. And then in June, wildfires in Canada, exacerbated by the desiccated earth and above normal temperatures, sent toxic smoke plumes across our entire region, causing us to reach for our KN95 masks once more. Lamoed hazeh, ka'et chaya. Against the backdrop of this past year, it is difficult for any of us to say with certainty what it will be like next year at this time, much less that it will be a season of life, fertility, and abundance. We are responsible for this uncertainty. We, humankind, we users of fossil fuels that have polluted our lands and skies, we are responsible. Unlike some religious traditions, Judaism does not demand that human beings refrain from making use of nature's bounty. We are commanded to make use of the earth and its fullness. But Judaism also requires that we care for the earth. The Midrash Kohelet Rabbah tells of the first encounter between God and Adam long ago. When the Holy One, blessed be God, created Adam, the first human being, God took Adam and showed him all the trees in the Garden of Eden. And God said to him, "See my creations, how beautiful and exemplary they are. Everything I created for you. Make certain that you do not ruin and destroy my world. For if you destroy it, there will be no one to repair it after you." Jewish tradition holds that we may make use of the richness of the earth, but we are to do so without abuse, without exploitation, without wanton waste. Climate change is an ecological crisis, to be sure, but it is a religious crisis too. The theologian Mara Benjamin writes, "We can no longer bracket this most dire existential situation by focusing on, for instance, the continued existence of the Jews as though it were separable from the continued habitability of the planet. Torah and Jews have a stake in the world. They cannot be bracketed. Our very existence as Jews and as humans is connected to the earth and the natural world. For many of us, it is in nature that we come closest to feeling God's presence. I know some of my most deeply profound spiritual moments have been out in the woods or high up on a mountain, suddenly in awe of the beauty, complexity, and vastness of creation. What we do here in the synagogue is not separate from what we experience out in God's world. Our very sanctuary is designed to remind us of this truth. Look at the beauty of the light coming in through these windows. Remember how the trees look in each season. First lush and green, then golden flecked with red. Later still the branches turn bare until that first spring day when the buds begin to reappear. Our synagogue is set in harmony with nature because we are part of the natural world. Jewish life cannot be bracketed off from life itself, any more than humans can be separated from the plants and animals and all that grow and breathe and dwell on this planet with us. For thousands of years, we have relied on the seasons, the cycles of nature to remain in balance, so that all that was created during that first Rosh Hashanah will continue to flourish and grow and nourish us all. Rosh Hashanah calls on us to be stewards of our earth, to be generous and give of ourselves like Sarah and Shunammite, to be gardeners and caretakers like Adam and Eve, and to hold fast to a vision of a better future like the prophet Elisha. If these high holy days teach us anything, it is that change is possible, healing and repair are possible, and we humans, we Jews, have a role to play in how our planet fares, so that we can once again look forward with anticipation and hope and say from one Rosh Hashanah to the next, Lamoed hazeh ke'ed chaya, may this time next year and years long into the future be seasons of life for us and for all that live on earth. Amen.